Now that we have understood how named ranges work, it's time to take it a step further using the indirect function. So we'll take a simple example to illustrate this. So over here, I have a table by the name revenue stream. Okay, that's the name of the table. And then I have a bunch of values that are split across 4 columns. And at the bottom over here, I have a summary where I want to have, or I want to see the total revenue by each quarter. So I'll get down to the formula right away. So I'll use the sum function, and I'm not going to manually go and select any values now, right? So I'm just going to name the table revenue stream, and the column that I'm referring to is quarter 1. So perfect. That's how we can go about typing in the formula. Perfect. So I get the value. So that's 8490. We can just go and quickly confirm that. That's right. That's the exact value that we are looking for. Now, let's say if you are trying to drag down this formula, what happens? So if I drag down this formula, okay, so this is not what we are expecting, right? We were expecting that it will take quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 values respectively. But then if we drag down a named range, it doesn't change the values in any way. So it basically just repeats the same thing. So that is where we can use something called as the indirect function. So what can the indirect function help us achieve? So in the indirect function, we'll basically convert any block of text into a named range or a named reference. So what do we mean by that? So over here, I have a few titles, right? Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So these are just blocks of text. And they are exactly like how our column names are. They are named in exactly the same way like how our column names are. So I can convert these into references using the indirect function. So let's see how we can do that. So we're going to replicate the exact same thing. That means we are going to get the same result, revenue stream quarter 1, but then it is going to pick it up from the cell. Quarter 1, the column name is going to be picked up from the cell, right? So how do we do that? So let's use the indirect function. Okay, so I'll say indirect. Okay, so now we need to provide the input. So I'll say revenue stream. So within quotation marks, I'll say revenue stream, which is the name of my table, right? And then I have a square bracket. Cool. So I want to combine this with the cell value because that includes the column name. So to combine it with the cell value, I'm just going to use the ampersand symbol that we have learned while we learned the text functions. And then I'm going to combine it with this particular cell, B11, which contains quarter 1, right? And then I will combine it again with the close bracket. Okay, so I'm going to combine it with a close bracket, and there you go. So I'm done with my function. So I've used the indirect function and I've provided it with a block of text along with the cell value. Okay, so now let me run this. And there you go. I got the same value 8490, but I'm going to drag this down and see what happens. Okay, so now we are seeing a change. So now we are seeing the corresponding values for quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 separately. So if I inspect, say, the second formula, I can see that the indirect function takes the revenue stream, the table name, and it combines it with the cell B12. B12 is quarter 2. And it is put across in exactly the same way how I would combine a table and a column reference with the square brackets. Over here, I've used the ampersand symbol to combine the blocks of text, right? So this is how I would make it a lot more dynamic using the indirect function. So now if I go and change the values here, if I say quarter 3, okay, it dynamically changes quarter 2, right? So it becomes very dynamic. So this is how you can use the indirect function to convert a block of text into a named reference.